please call the roll.
Chairperson Wani Garza,
Here.
Vice Chair Ted Masiacos, Alderman John Lash,
Present.
Alderman Brandon Tolliver,
Here.
Alderman Daniel Barreiro,
Here.
4 present.
Okay. Motion to approve the minutes for 240969 from December 9, 2024.
Second.
Motion made Alderman Dan Barrero, second Alderman Tolliver. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. We have public comments?
We do not have public comment.
Okay. So the first item in the agenda is 24-0859, a resolution requesting implementation of the privacy ordinance review by Clays LLC, Atlanta, Georgia, for a total amount not to exceed $100,000.
Good afternoon,
Afternoon.
Chairman Garza, members of the committee. Jeff Anderson, Deputy CIO. As you know, the city's provided many new online services in recent years, whether it's water billing reading, whether it's online payments, whether it's license renewal, those kinds of things. As the city continues to provide more services online, gather more data online digitally, they used to collect during paper forms and destroy those or whatever, right? The need for a privacy readiness review becomes necessary. Here with me today, I've got Leila Cara-Murray, she's the Director of Cybersecurity Risk. Mark Taghap is the Chief Information Security Officer, and of course, everyone knows Mike, the CIO. On the phone here, I'll introduce him in a minute, is Keon Williams. Go through how we got to the point of selecting Keon's firm. Privacy readiness review is an assessment of the privacy practices used to identify and mitigate risks of personal data. This review can help the city prepare for new data protection laws and regulations. Some of you may have recently read about what happened at the Department of Treasury, where they were hacked, and then what guidelines did they follow at this way? I'm sure we'll find out, but that's what we're trying to do. There have been losses of personnel data at local municipalities that some of us have probably read about. Some of us in the north here on the Fox River, where employee data was sent out the door to a third party, social security numbers, those kinds of things. So in addition to putting together policies and guidelines around these kinds of things, we'll look at some tools potentially that we may already have in-house and how we would put those in, some others we need to look at. Some additional reasons for going after a privacy readiness review like this is, like I said, compliance with laws and regulations, protecting resident privacy, data breach prevention and response, mitigating financial and insurance risk. These types of things come up annually, and Leila can speak to these if you have questions about it, when we have our cyber insurance reviews. What types of things are we doing to be responsible in these spaces? Okay. So what we're asking to do today is very similar to the PCI compliance assessment we completed last year, where a third party will come in and perform an assessment of our privacy readiness, and then make recommendations for any mitigations or risk reduction that are necessary. Those could, again, be policies and procedures, which is what most of them turned out to be around PCI compliance. We just needed to process things a little bit differently. Could be some tools, et cetera. If any additional funds are needed beyond what we were asking for here today, we would bring those back to council with what we'd be asking for to help mitigate those risks. So it's sort of a multi-phased approach here. So how do we get to this point today? We went through the standard marketplace process. I won't read through that. That's all in the resolution. We had 12 firms. We narrowed it down to a couple. We had some interviews with a couple of them. We selected Class LLC because, one, they know the space very well. They're experts in the space. We also had, they were ones who wrote and helped with our governance and privacy management policies previously, our security structure previously. And then so here on the phone, this is why we went through and went through the process, selected Class LLC, and that's where I'll introduce Keon Williams. And Keon has a couple of slides today, one which introduces himself. If we can, Alex, if we can get those up on the screen here, that would be great. And then Keon, I'll turn it over to you for your introduction. You can step through your slides, and then we'll take some questions when we're finished. Oops, Keon, we're not able to hear you.
Can you hear me now?
We can't hear you yet. Okay. So Alex, can you hear us up in the control room? Are you able to take a look at what's happening here?
Hi, Jeff. I hear myself, if that helps.
So while we're waiting here and while we're waiting for Keon to have his sound turned on our end here, I'm confident on our end. We were just with Mr. Williams just about an hour or so ago going through all of this. So Keon Williams is the managing director at Cyber Leadership and Strategy Solutions, Class LLC. Keon is a risk governance leader who has successfully deployed enterprise risk, cybersecurity, and data privacy programs for more than 2 decades. He designed and supported the City of Aurora's cybersecurity program. Many of you have seen any of the phishing campaigns we throw out, any of the testing, those kinds of things. That was Keon's good work back when we brought him in beforehand. He's a former cybersecurity leader at the CDC in Atlanta. He's a board member and advisor for commercial and nonprofit companies. He is a current active teaching professor, and he's a published author. So Keon, are you there? Can you hear me? Can we hear you?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Oh, perfect. If we go to slide 3, because Jeff already read the bio, what I'll do is I'll walk everybody through the idea and the approach that was identified in our submission.
Are we able to get the presentation displayed? Communications group?
So I see the title slide. I can't advance the slides. If we can move it to slide 3, that'd be great.
And we're not seeing it here in the room, so I think we need to swap out Keon's face here for the presentation. Somebody can do that for us.
It may be better for you to look at the presentation than at me.
There we go. I think you want to be on the
Perfect.
what page, right? Is that right? So back up 1.
Yes, please.
You have different monitors. We're seeing his face, but that one has
There we go.
All right. Are you seeing the slides okay?
Here we are. The council's not seeing them though, so Alex, are you able to get them up on the council screens?
Perhaps for the Cal meeting, we could have the slides uploaded to the,
We will. Thank you.
thanks.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, you got them now?
Yeah, we can see
Okay.
them now.
Thank you. That's an excellent point, Alderman. Thank you. So, yeah, Leila, they have them. So, Keon, you can go ahead and discuss the what here.
What I'll do is just give a verbal explanation of what we want to accomplish. The idea with the privacy program is that the privacy program is going to be the foundation of data governance. It is going to enhance security. It supports the opportunity for the city to pursue other opportunities like artificial intelligence or digital transformation. The outcome of the assessment is necessary so that we understand what data exists, what are the regulatory requirements and the operational requirements for protecting that data, what controls exist and what controls are missing. And then the assessment is going to equip the city to develop a roadmap that identifies the budget, the resources, and the time frame that is necessary to ensure all obligations facing the city are satisfied. What we're doing for the privacy program is similar to what we did for the cybersecurity program. The methodology was the same. We started with an assessment. We identified the regulatory drivers. We ensured that the cybersecurity program was designed primarily to satisfy Illinois regulations, and then secondarily to consider the impact of the program on the ability of the city to deliver services to its constituents, to the region, to the state, and to the nation. A similar approach will be applied to the privacy project. The objective, instead of focusing broadly on all cybersecurity concerns, is to focus specifically on which systems within the city store, process, transmit, or share personal information, the extent to which a privacy incident management program exists in case there is some exposure, and then opportunities to improve governance of all information, because the work that we do for privacy reinforces and supports other initiatives that already exist within the city. If we go forward one slide and talk about the how, the assessment is the only thing that we're talking about in this conversation. The assessment is designed to be completed before the end of the fiscal year. The result of the assessment supports all other follow-on activities. One of the key artifacts from the assessment is going to be a privacy impact assessment, which is a formal document defined by the Department of Health and Human Services because they regulate the management of personal information within the United States. The Health and Human Services process satisfies the requirements for the Illinois Privacy Protection Act and the two Illinois regulations are the Personal Information Protection Act and the Biometric Information Protection Act. The privacy impact assessment that reduces from this work satisfies the requirements for understanding the extent to which the Illinois regulations have been addressed. And then it also allows a strategic roadmap to be developed for any gaps that exist, any remediation that needs to take place, any risk that needs to be addressed. And it puts the city in a good position to be thoughtful about what the future looks like, reducing risk as much as possible, given the outcomes that we produce from this work.
So I think at this point, we can open it up for questions from the committee. Thank you, Keon.
I have a question. The cost of the project, does this include all three phases, or is there different costs?
Just phase one.
Just phase one?
Just for phase one.
So this is for phase one, okay, thank you.
More questions, comments? Yes?
We already have a pretty robust cybersecurity program, and I believe we also have insurance backing that up too. What does this do differently outside of assess where we need to beef it in compliance-wise? I don't, and then I have a few other
Sure.
questions.
And I have a pretty solid idea, but I'll let Keon answer the specifics about how this one is different.
One of the things that you find when you compare cybersecurity and data privacy is the focus and the driver for the initiative. Generally, cybersecurity, if you look at the program that the city has put in place, it was based on the NIST risk management framework that describes a life cycle approach for putting controls in place to protect data, systems, and infrastructure. The privacy program is much more specifically focused, and even at the federal level, there is a risk management program, there is an artificial intelligence risk management program, and the National Institute of Standards and Technology defines a specific approach for privacy risk management. And so because the city has a NIST-based program in place, the approach for this assessment is going to be informed by the NIST privacy framework, and it ensures alignment between legal and organizational requirements for the protection of personal information, and it reinforces what has already been done for the cybersecurity program, such that if there is a gap where cybersecurity was the focus, but there was no consideration for things like data lifecycle management, data inventory, data mapping, or media sanitization for a specific regulated classification of information. All of that will be discovered, documented, and delivered to the city as artifacts that are part of the exercise.
I guess I still don't hear very clearly maybe what the difference between the two is. What are we getting new differently? What are we getting differently that's new? And I don't even know, like, do we even have any biometric data that we maintain or use hand scanners or anything like that?
So, answer the first part of the question there is that, you know, I think Keon did a nice job of explaining that this is specifically around personally identifiable data, right? So, I don't want to taint this study at all, but one of the things that concerns me as an IT person is we have legacy systems that, you know, in layman's terms, don't know that email or don't know the internet exists, right? So how do we process that data? We take that data out of that system and we email it around to people. Then it's around an email. Now, what's our security model and process around that? What really should we have been doing with that all along? And these things could be as simple as tools that stop somebody and say, hey, what you're sending here looks like social security numbers. right? Let's stop this, right? There could be a process around that, or it could be something that's much bigger than that. And again, one of the reasons we're asking to do this is we're being asked by insurance companies, what are you doing in this space, in this particular space? Because if you look, the follow-on about breach information is all the costs around what has to happen when it's the embarrassment of residents' data is now made public, right? That's specifically what this program is about. Not so much about making sure that Jeff doesn't click on a bad link that causes a virus that gets around to everyone in the city, right? This is specifically around how are we controlling that data that we're collecting now? Again, going back to the online pieces we're collecting, right? We're now allowing people to pay water bills online and do other things online we haven't done in the last 20 years, right? So now we're collecting all that data. How are we being responsible with that specific data and handling that?
Thank you.
More questions, comments?
Motion to approve.
Okay, motion by Alderman Tolliver, second Alderman Demerito. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion pass.
Thank
you. Next item is 24-0987, a resolution to award a contract to Connolly Electric Company in the amount not to exceed $53,500 for the water production division.
Good afternoon, Bob Lively, Superintendent of Water Production. So this item has to do with getting electrical improvements done at the water treatment plant to upsize one high-pressure pump. We have 3 high-pressure pumps that distribute water to the high-pressure zone of the city's distribution system. Those pumps handle about 30% of the overall demand. We've seen increased demand in that zone. Some examples of increased water demand over there will be the new casino and the hotel. That's part of that area that these pumps service. So the existing pump needed electrical or the new pump needed electrical improvements so it'll work with a higher horsepower motor and a larger pump. That's going to yield about another 500,000 gallons a day of water, 500,000 gallons. The project was formally bid with full specifications and plans for electrical work. We have the pump and the motor on order through previous approval. And I'll just mention again that we had received a grant to help cover some of the project costs for this of $101,790. Crawford Murphy and Tilly is the engineer of record, and they recommend that we award the project to Connolly Electric for $53,500, not to exceed.
Questions, comments? Yes? Oh, you move? Okay, motion made. Oh, you have question? Okay.
Yeah, just real quick. You said there's a $100,000 grant, so the total cost was $153,000, and this is what's left. Am I understanding that correctly?
Well, there's 2 parts to that. This is the improvements part, $53,500. The motor and I forget off the top of my head, but the motor and the pump are roughly $100,000, give or take. So the grant's not going to cover the entire cost of the project, but a majority of it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is
No
a
further
ready
questions.
motion by Alderman
Second.
Demerito. Second, John Leash. All in favor say aye. Okay, motion passed, 4-0, sorry. Next item is 24-1000, a resolution authorizing the purchase of replacement and additional vehicle for the city of Aurora, a fleet for amount not to exceed $1,570,000.
Good afternoon, Chris Linville, Superintendent of Fleet Operations. We're requesting approval to add additional and replacement vehicles. If there's any questions.
Questions, comments?
Yeah.
Yes, John?
I had a question. Are there other contracts for other vehicles, or is this is not all the vehicles we're purchasing for the year? So those are separate, like the squad cars and
We're working on
fire truck?
getting quotes for those, and we'll come back at a later date for those.
Okay, thanks.
Yes?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say thanks. I see a lot more hybrid vehicles and a couple electric vans on there. I really appreciate the department going this direction. Thank you.
We're definitely trying to push the best we can.
Motion to approve.
Okay, motion
Second.
approved by Alderman John Leash, second Alderman Demerito. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed 4-0. Thank you. Next item is 24-1003, a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign and execute a water main easement agreement with the Commonwealth Edison Company, CAMED, a part of the Middlebury Drive to La Jolla Court water main installation.
Good afternoon, Kurt Muth with the Engineering Division. There's an upcoming water main looping project that was identified as a need to supply additional water to the southeast area of town, kind of near where Eola and Route 30 meet for the Lincoln Prairie development, once commercial is ready to develop there. In order to complete this project, we needed 2 easements. The first for the Foxway Park District was already approved. And the second one with ComEd, they required an easement agreement and a $3,000 fee. So we're asking for approval of those before we can get the easement executed and then move forward with the award of the construction contract, hopefully within a month or 2, and then look for spring construction. So this is the first step in moving in that direction.
Questions, comments?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just real quick. When I know I might be a little bit ahead, I understand this is just the easement phase of this, but when that comes out for the water main and so forth, who pays for that? Is that funded through an SSA, or is that funded by the developer? Who takes the lead, or do we take it?
The city's taking the lead, and but we'll get reimbursed by Pulte Group once the construction is complete.
By who?
Pulte Group.
Pulte.
Yeah.
No further questions. Thank you.
Okay.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion approved by Alderman John Lesch, second Alderman Tolliver. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed 4-0. Thank you. Next item is 24-1007, a resolution authorizing execution of permits with the state of Illinois for maintenance and construction of the state highway.
Good afternoon, Mike Houston, Water and Sewer Maintenance. The Water and Sewer Division is requesting to authorize a permit from the state of Illinois to perform maintenance and repairs on city-owned infrastructures within the state right-of-way. This is a requirement for the city to perform work in these locations, and the permit is effective for a period of 2 years, and there's no costs associated with this item.
Questions? Yes?
Now, where are we looking at doing this? I understand it's just a blanket resolution, but are we looking at any specific area?
No, this is just in general.
Just to have it on
If-
hand.
If the city has city-owned infrastructure and a state right-of-way, this permit just gives us the.
So we just
authority
refresh it every 2 years
every
or
2
so?
years, yeah.
Okay.
So.
No further
we just send
questions?
a copy to the state afterwards.
Okay. Motion approval,
Second.
Alderman Antembarreiro. Second, Alderman John Lesch. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, 25-0005, a resolution authorizing rehabilitation project of 6 finished water distribution pumps for the Water Production Division in an amount not to exceed $402,000.
Hello again, Bob Lively, Superintendent of Water Production. So this is a rehabilitation or refurbishment type project that is funded through a 2025 decision package. Similar to what I talked about before, we're not upsizing these pumps, and these are sister pumps of the ones that I talked about before. There's 6 of these pumps that distribute finished water to the normal pressure zone of the distribution system, which is about 70% of the overall water demand. A number of these pumps have not gone through a formal inspection and refurbishment over a number of years, so we put together a project package to cover that cost. The work is done by Lane Christensen. We have a professional service agreement with them, as they are the sole regional factory authorized source for repair and replacement of Flowserve Byron Jackson pumps, which we use at the Water Production Division. With 6 pumps, we take one out at a time to do the inspection, and then we figure out what components are needed, and we order those components, and then they complete the repairs. So this will probably take a good 2 years to complete doing one pump at a time. So it's recommended that we approve this and get that rehab work underway.
That's one of my questions. So when going to be the rehabilitation?
Pardon?
Almost 2 years?
It could take, to do all 6 pumps, yeah.
Okay. All right. Questions, comments?
Motion to approve.
Motion
Second.
approved by Alderman Tolliver, second Alderman Yash. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, 25-0009, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to adopt unit prices submitted by Core and Main for the purchase of sensors, water meters, and accessories.
Mike Houston, Superintendent of Water and Sewer. The Water and Sewer Division is requesting authorization to adopt unit prices submitted by Core and Main to purchase meters and accessories. This is an item the committee has approved yearly to our sole source provider, Core and Main. The 2025 prices are valid for 1 year. There has been some price increase of 3 of the meter types we purchased, along with some of the smart point accessories. There also have been some decrease on certain items that will help offset costs of the increased items. Any questions?
So all the properties, the meters have, they already have sensors or no?
All of our property, yeah, we use Core and Main and they provide. They're a
So
sole
they
source
have to
provider.
redo it again everywhere.
Yeah, I've asked them to try to commit to a longer contract period, or not a contract, a longer period for unit prices. But our sole source provider, Core and Main, they'll only commit to a yearly unit pricing, which is why I come back every year for updated prices. And when I talk to them, obviously with the cost of everything rising all the time, they can't commit to anything longer than a year. So hopefully next year, we can come through with, with 2 or 3 year pricing, which historically they have done in the past, but predating COVID, they committed to, 2 or 3 year pricing, but now they want to go year by year. So
Okay. Questions, comments?
I had a question.
Yes.
So when these meters are put in, does that affect the other agenda item, 25-0011?
that was brought through in August.
The one with the grant, with the replacement of the, am I looking at the right one? The lead service replacement project?
No, these are meter replacements. This is new development items. This is for like frozen meters, things like that happen. So these are our prices for our installs. So this is separate from.
So this doesn't disturb the
Well,
if there's lead pipes?
if we do replace them, we do make note of that, and that will in turn a lot of times initiate a lead service line replacement. So if a meter does need to be replaced in a home, if it's going to disturb that lead, then that in turn will most likely initiate a lead service replacement. So, and we do document the material types of the services when we do installs by our meter installers. So then we take the correct course of action when it happens.
Thanks.
Motion to approve.
Okay,
Second.
motion approved by Alderman Lesh, second Alderman Tolliver. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is 25-0010, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to execute change order number 1 to the contract with the Hoer Construction, Inc. for the 2024 sanitary sewer CIPP lining project in amount of $84,825.
Kurt Muth again with the Engineering Division. So early November, on Galena Boulevard at the Water Street pedestrian crossing just on the east bank of the river, we were repairing the crosswalk and found a large void under the roadway, and it ended up being a brick storm sewer that had a hole in it, and we were able to make a repair that's holding in place, but we'd like to line that section of pipe from the inside to fortify that repair and prevent any future failures. We'd like to utilize the spray in place method where it sprays like almost a thin concrete layer on the inside of the pipe. That's slightly different than the cured in place lining method that we typically use. It's kind of an odd shaped sewer. It's not your typical round brick sewer. But we do typically bid out that type of work. Air Construction was the contractor of the 2024 contract. We came in slightly under with the final numbers, but it wasn't quite as much as this amount. So we're asking for a change order to expedite that repair, hopefully early February if we get some favorable temperatures. We wanted to not wait until the 2025 contract is awarded. We're getting ready to bid that now, and that if we waited for that, it would delay this for a couple of months probably. So that's why we're asking for a change order in lieu of waiting for the next contract.
Okay. Questions, comments?
What's the intersection again? Galena and what?
It's right at the Water Street Mall crossing, pedestrian crossing. So it was only about 90 feet east of the bridge abutment.
Okay.
So it's in between the river and Broadway.
No further questions.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Motion
Second.
approved by Alderman Tolliver, second Alderman John Lesh. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed 4-0. Thank you. Next item, 25-0011, a resolution authorizing a contract with the IEPA PWSLP Loan Forgiveness Agreement with Brent Excavating, Inc. for the lead service replacement project, Contract 2, for the bid of $3,261,380, pending approval of an IEPA loan forgiveness loan.
Good afternoon, John Hoffman with the Engineering Division. Back in March of 2024, we submitted to the IEPA for grant money for lead service replacements, and we got approval for a little over $3 million in lead service replacements. So in December, we opened up bids for approximately 350 lead service replacements in the 3 census tracts that we were approved to use them in. We received 8 conforming bids, with Brant Excavating being the low bidder. So this resolution gives us authority to sign the post-bid documents and also to execute the loan after we receive approval from the IEPA.
Questions, comments?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes?
So, can you explain the loan forgiveness to me? How that works?
Yeah, so the loan forgiveness is, it's essentially a grant. So what we do is the contractor does the work, we pay the contractor, then the IEPA reimburse us for it. We pay them ahead of time to kind of help get better bid prices, that the money's not being stretched out. So it's essentially a grant. It's just kind of going through the same process that the IEPA administers for a loan.
And this is federal money being funneled through the state. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Any chance this will be impacted by the federal government changing their mind on things like this? I'm asking out of.
I
Are you
don't have a good answer for
Okay.
that.
Yeah, nobody does at this point. And then as far as, it's about 350 homes, so about 9,000 property. Are all of the properties in these census tracts going to be done, or is it going to be done street by street? Are we replacing the water mains in that area as well? What's the methodology we're using, basically?
So we are kind of sorting through that still. We're going to try to, spend money in each of the 3 census tracts. We're going to try to do like entire blocks at a time, but we need to look at things like how new is the road. We don't want to tear up a brand new road. How many water main breaks are in this area. We don't necessarily want to make a bunch of new taps on water main that tends to break a lot. So we still need to kind of sort through the data, but the goal is to kind of spread it out among those 3 census tracts as much as possible and be as efficient as possible.
Is there any chance that we could, if the water mains have broken in that area and they're old and deteriorated and need to be replaced, that we could do that at the same time, or is it not really being taken into consideration?
We could right now. Yeah, it is something that we could do. It's a possibility. I think right now we kind of have. I don't think we have anything in those census tracts that are earmarked for replacement in the upcoming year or two. But that's something we want to factor as well.
Okay, no further questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Second.
Motion approval by Denver Rado, second John Lesh. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed 4-0. Thank you very much. Next item is 25-0016, a resolution authorizing the execution of real estate contract to purchase properties required for the Fransburg Wilter Church roadway widening project.
Hi, Brian Wachowski, Engineering Department. So we've been before you a couple of times on this Farnsworth Church Builder construction project. This is the authorization. We're going through board approval to purchase the right-of-way or temporary easements that are required for the improvements, for the roadway improvements, or for utility relocation by us. We have 6 that we are coming before you to approve right now. The prices of those individual parcels range anywhere from $5,000 to $145,000 described on here. We hope to come forward with the additional parcels at a later date or as quickly as possible because we are looking forward to get starting on this project.
Motion for approval.
Questions? Comment? No? Okay, well, it's already motion by Alderman Demarado. Second, Alderman Tolliver. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed 4-0. Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, could I go back one agenda item and ask a quick question?
Yes.
Of Mr. Hoffman? Sorry it just occurred to me, I did read the whole grant proposal that you guys submitted last year, beginning of the year, and it was great. But if I recall, there was like a 30-year timeline, right? Is this 3.2 million going to come every year, or is that contingent upon the federal government? I'm just
Right, yeah, so, currently they're, distributing the bipartisan infrastructure law money. I'm not super abreast of what that all entails, but as long as that money's still available, we're gonna keep applying for it. The 33 years that the state had for our replacements is there's been some new federal lead copper rule revisions to that's accelerating it to 10 years. So we're trying to, that regulation came out in October, so we're kind of trying to filter through that data and what that means to us, and we're gonna have to kind of accelerate our replacement plan accordingly to kind of try and hit a 10-year replacement.
okay. Well, that would be better, as long as the money comes with it.
Right, yeah, that's the hard part.
Thank you.
Okay, so the one was for the, question was for the 25-0011. Okay, to be clear.
Thank you,
Thank
Madam
you.
Chair.
No other item in this agenda.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned
Second.
by Alderman Tolliver, second Jan Lash. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion adjourned at 4:38 p.m. Thank you very much.